Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to tonight's mystery puzzle challenge match between Pikapals and Psyho. I'm your host, Dark Aries, and with me today on commentary I have Aaron Dobb and Not on Pizza. How's it going, you two?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. How are you?
Apart from the teeth, okay. You?
I'm doing pretty good. So, I've come out of the woodwork today to help commentate this game, because it is one of my most favorite games. Magical Tetris Challenge, as we saw. I may or may not have a fairly good time in this game on speedrun.com. I may or may not have also ran it at NASA. So I think I know a little thing or two about the game itself. So hopefully I can provide entertaining commentary, especially with you two with me here. So I think before we start, do we have any questions about the game that we want to go through before the match starts?
What's their challenge?
Right. So the challenge is that they have to beat magical normal. So the thing is the whole reason this game is called Magical Tetris Challenge is because unlike regular Tetris games where you just only have to deal with tetraminos, meaning pieces made up of 4 blocks, this
game gets interesting.
Yeah, the whole garbage system revolves around the fact that you are sent pentaminos, which is blocks made of 5 pieces. Actually, the blocks can get even larger depending on how stacked up the garbage is against you or against your opponent. But there's some mechanics that we'll get into as we actually see them happen. And there's some fairly interesting lore with this game as well. So I think without further ado, we should start this match here. So let me get this started up here. For the record, this was an offline match that happened earlier in the day, but today we are restreaming it, so.
I think a good comparison for this game is it's like Tetris meets Twinkle Star Sprites.
Possibly. Alright, and we're off. So one of the things that you might notice right off the bat is that they are playing different characters. In this game mode, it doesn't matter, it's only cosmetic. Also, another thing is that normally when you do speedruns of this game, it is on the N64 version. However, there is actually some difficulty with emulating this game, whether it be like graphical glitches or sound glitches or input lag, as I believe BizHawk emulates the game all properly, but there's some pretty serious input lag that happens. So they're actually playing on the PlayStation version, which emulates a lot better. I also believe it has a bit more higher quality soundtrack, so.
I believe the N64 Tetris games have really weird input issues. Not so much input lag, there's only reading inputs every few frames.
Well, the thing is, actually on Twitter I recently read about this, is that the N64 will only pull input every frame, or something like that. I would need to double check, but another thing as well is this game originally actually came out on the arcades. We didn't get to see the title sequence, but this game was created by Capcom, and it was actually released within the same week as Tetris the Grandmaster, which was also licensed by Capcom. The rumor goes is that somehow Capcom managed to squeeze 2 games out of the Tetris company during this time, and they released them both at the same time, or however the way they managed to do it, they managed to squeeze 2 arcade games out of them. So in the arcades in August of whatever year this came out of, there was Tetris the Grandmaster and Magical Tetris Challenge, both beside each other.
I think it was 1999 or 2000?
Yeah, something like that. Also, this is fairly interesting right now, because with both players, you'll notice that those are the magical pieces that I'm talking about. Those pentaminos and everything else like that. There's a couple things that I do need to explain. So, if you look at the side of the play field, you'll notice that there's that glowing bar. That is a meter that builds up over time as you create clears. And once it reaches the top, it will actually wipe everything up from the top of that bar and above. So if you're fairly high stacked up, oh, I think, yeah, looks like that just happened on Psyho's feet. So yeah, that's exactly what it does. So That's it's really a lifesaver, especially if you don't get to control it, but it can. If it happens when you're really stacked high up, it is definitely a lifesaver.
But then also the meter becomes higher, so next turn it restores you to less.
Yeah. Looks like psyho just managed to clear the first stage, so there we go.
So I noticed that that both runners fought different characters to start. Does that make a difference at all?
No, it is just purely cosmetic. Well, if you care about the story itself, it does change because, surprisingly, this game has a story, depending on which character
But hey,
you get.
you're speedrunners, who cares about story?
Yeah, you skip the story, but I believe with Mickey, he goes to Minnie's place to get a cake, then Pete comes in and brainwashes Minnie, and everybody else, so he tries to hunt down Pete, and he ends up fighting everybody else in Tetris because they also got brainwashed because of this gemstone that Mickey found and was trying to figure out its properties, but Pete stole. And then if you pick a different character, it's kind of the same story, where they all interact with that gemstone somehow, and everybody else is brainwashed, and you verse them in Tetris. So that if you pay attention to the story, it's fairly interesting for a Tetris game.
For a Tetris game.
For a Tetris game. One of the things as well, there's a lot of different mechanics in this game that kind of separates it from other Tetris games as well. If anybody remembers the submission sheet for Magic or Mystery Puzzle Challenge, one of the things is that mainline Tetris games are banned. The reason being, obviously, is because if you played one Tetris game, you're fairly good at them, you're going to be fairly good at all Tetris games. This is not the case with this game. I'll have you know that even resident TGM expert Kevin DDR struggles with this game. I'm not kidding.
Then again, he also struggles with Tetris card Captain Sakura Eternal Heart as well.
Yeah, I mean that one's just RNG can really screw you over. But with this game, it's not necessarily, because there's still the element of being good at the game in order to do things. Like, one of the things that you'll notice is in the middle of the screen, the next is actually shared. Also, it's N64, Game Boy Color, and PS1 for the releases. Game Boy Color is completely separate. But if you notice, the next piece is actually shared between the two, so there is an element of paying attention to steal pieces from your opponent, and the expert level AI will do that actually quite often. They wait until they get the piece that they need, and they snatch it immediately.
Reminds me of another Tetris game, Tetris Battle Garden, which was released in Japan. That also had the shared preview column, and some of the pieces had gems on them which let you power up your attacks, and some of the strategy in that game is to steal the gems so the opponent can't get any.
Yep, that was a game on the Super Famicom, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
I just noticed that on psyho's side, the AI Goofy got a Pentris.
Yep, that's a thing.
That's a thing.
That's a thing, I guess. It makes sense.
Yeah, you can get Tetrises, or because of the fact that the Pentamino garbage can create a 5-long eyepiece, you can create Pentrises. Or, if you look at pikapals side right now, there's that 5x5 block. If you stack two of those right beside each other, that's an easy Pentris as well. If you notice also as well, the clock above the next piece queue, that controls the speed of the game, so the higher the clock is, the faster the game itself plays. So you don't want to really keep games dragging on too long. If you get that meter clear, I do believe it bumps it down a level. But there's definitely some strategy involved with the actual gameplay as well. If you notice, there's the max combo window, and what that really
What the hell is that place?
Oh no!
Oh,
no!
That was a bad place to put that.
That's a second-rate place.
That's out.
Oh, dear.
That's terrible.
Yeah, this is what happens with this game. You have to be very good at manipulating pieces, but one of the things that you do want to do is combos. The easiest way to do it is as you would do it in a newer mainline Tetris game, where you would create a well of 2 pieces wide on the right-hand column, and then you would stack up as high as you can go. Now the speedrunning strat actually involves waiting until level 2, where the garbage that you send increases by 1, and then you would throw all your pieces down that 2 wide column, and you would create combos, and it would go boom, 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 boom. That would build up the garbage, and it sends off. One of the things with the garbage though as well is you'll notice that it appears on the above playfields as question marks. There's actually a counter system. So if I have question marks on my side, but I do some clears, each one of those clears will send that question mark back to the opponent, and that will manifest itself as a 2x2 block. So whenever you see somebody and they have a bunch of those 2x2 blocks, that's what happened. But
and then it goes 3x3, 4x4, 5x5.
Exactly, you can volley it back and forth until it caps at 5x5.
That's why I made the comparison to Twinkle Star Sprites earlier.
Gotcha.
And I do believe they are both on the second stage, yes.
And they both lost one.
They have different round 2 opponents because it's an arcade game, and you can pick your character, but the character has no basis on the game itself. It's still the same amount of stages, the final boss is still the exact same, so there's no relevance beyond aesthetics as to what character that you pick.
And how much story you have to read or skip.
Yeah, all the cutscenes are skippable anyway, so... But there's no merit to picking one character over the other, because timing starts when you pick the difficulty anyways, which is after you've picked the character.
Man, I'm just watching this, and this is like, this seems crazy. Like, getting the Pentaminos just absolutely messes with you, because everything I've learned about Tetris doesn't matter anymore.
And it looks like Psyho gets the stage there.
Nice. Yeah, so psyho seems to be dealing with this pretty well. I know.
Then again, there was the placing the 5-way blocks on yourself.
I know that before I fought him, he mentioned that he was scared of getting a Tetris game.
Yeah, so fun fact, I was able to at least peek in the text channel while this game was happening, because I do have Discord on my Chromebook while I was chained away from my desktop. And it turns out the only Tetris games that he's played ever are the classic Tetris games. So, for example, for both players actually, the mechanic that pieces do not instant lock as soon as they touch the stack was very new to them, and it caused a lot of sliding to happen after the fact.
Yeah, I've noticed that issue when switching between Tetris and Tetris DX on my Game Boy, that the sliding is not something I'm used to either.
Yeah, the thing is with this, like I said, this game came out at the same time as Tetris the Grandmaster, and both games are
Which
fairly
also had
revolutionary in new Tetris mechanics. The fun fact is actually in the starting credits of the game, like right on boot, there actually is a patent pending for Eureka, the company that made
temporary landing.
Yeah, temporary landing system, which for people who don't know what that is, the ghost pieces. Yeah.
Neat.
These two games are the first time the ghost pieces
I
have ever been shown.
I thought that Eureka was in the credits for this somewhere.
Yeah.
And I misremembered they'd actually created the game, but no.
So this came out before the new Tetris on N64 then?
Yes.
About the same
so.
time, I think.
I would Google that, but I'm afraid my computer will blow up, so...
I'll do it for you. The new Tetris was July 1999. Magical Tetris Challenge was originally 1998. Just before that.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like, yeah, Pikapals does get the win, so he's on to the next stage there as well.
There's 4 stages in total, aren't there?
There's 5? Yes, because my stats are, Yeah, because my splits for this game are Arthos, Porthos, Aramis, and then Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So yeah, there's actually 6 stages. Because depending on who you pick, Mickey, Donald, or Goofy, or Minnie, whatever one of the 4 you pick, your first 3 matches are the other 3 of the 4. Then you fight Pete's 2 cronies. Then you fight Pete themselves. So there's 6 stages. Yeah, the soundtrack to this game is also really awesome. Like, I know Tetris Sphere and Next Tetris are always regarded for their soundtrack, but this game also has a pretty legit soundtrack, I think.
And something I only learned today, the music that plays in the intro video for Mystery Puzzle Challenge is actually from this game.
Yep. I really like this game, so I tried to incorporate it into places that I can. Surprisingly, this is not my submission, though.
Who decided? Who took the chance that this wouldn't be considered a mainline Tetris game?
FFR Pro.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, no. The reason he knew it would work is because he specifically asked me during the planning stages of Mystery Puzzle Challenge when we were trying to decide what games we would allow and disallow. And all of us came to the conclusion that a game like this would be allowed.
Yeah, and again, it makes sense because I'm like watching this and trying to decide what I would do in these situations, and I feel my mind shutting down a little bit already. And I'm not even the one playing.
It could be worse. He could be practicing a brace stack during all of this.
Psyho got a crazy piece right there where it was like the triangle. Those are actually exclamation mark garbage. So what happens actually, I forgot to mention this, is that during the whole volleying back and forth between garbage is if you only have a certain amount of slots for garbage that can stack up. If that overfills, instead what happens is it starts overwriting the garbage that you have with exclamation mark garbage, and those are the crazy wacky pieces like the pyramids and the triangles and crosses.
I did not know
like
exactly what caused them to spawn, so that's interesting to know.
Psyho got a really good finish there. He got hit with the big 5x5s and was able to stack them on top of his flat surface for a Pentris to finish the opponent off.
Yeah, it's fairly important to keep a flat stack, or at least keep it level enough where 2 of those 5x5 blocks can be right beside each other. Because if you can't, then you're pretty much screwed. You need to be able to get at least some sort of line clears out of them. 5x5 is ideal, but anything really to just bring the stack down is good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And at least at a higher level of gameplay on this game, you also keep in mind the way that you can line clear as well. If you see that there's a chance to get one line and then another line after another and then another line after another, you're gonna go for it instead of just doing like a big 3-line clear. And it looks like Pikapals is now on to the next stage, which is Weasel, I believe?
Yeah, I think they're both on stage 4 now.
Yep, they're both on Weasel right now. And yeah, for chat, both of them are both on stage 4 right now.
It's interesting you say that, Nico, because, yeah, there are times when I laugh so much I almost stop reading.
Reminder, NPC commentators don't get health insurance. From me. I ain't paying for that.
You ain't paying us for anything!
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's why you don't have the health insurance, it's implied.
And I'm just here because I like puzzles.
It's a fairly good reason. No, okay, so that's one of the things. If Psyho took that T piece and instead of putting it right up, if he put it sideways, that would have still allowed one more block there, and he could have used the Pentris I piece to then get another clear after it, getting a 3 combo instead of capping it at 2. It's one of those little things that after playing the game for a while you notice. You can't expect it from these guys playing blind, but it's one of the things that if you want to take up speedrunning of this game is one of the things you have to look out for.
do combos send extra weird pieces then?
Yeah, the combos, every single combo you do sends, depending on a table. Peach EXE found this out because he's a nice dude and did a score attack task of the game. Depending on what level you are and what combo you're at, it sends X amount of garbage to the opponent. Tetrises and line, like doubles, triples, Tetrises and Pentrises also send garbage, but you can't do them in such a high output volume. Like if you do Pentris, that's pretty much most of your stack. It caps out, but if you do it via combos, you can easily hit 8, 9, 10 max combo and send that much more garbage.
I've seen that score attack. It's quite silly because at the end of each level there's a multiplier which is on a table which scrolls past on the other side's well, which is basically a multiplier for your entire score for the round. And you can get some quite silly, huge scores that way.
Well, looks like psyho is now on to Wolf. He's getting closer.
Already, that's a big difference in meter size.
Yup.
I'm trying to determine what emotion is being shown on those clocks at the top of the stage, but I can't.
Yeah, that's...
It looks like the thinking emoji with the hands up the nose.
I've heard that one of the
maybe.
most off-putting parts about this game is actually those top parts of the stack. Because they're like animated and kind of weird.
Yeah, quote-unquote animated.
Yep. Ooh, pikapals is a bit of a trouble. What are you doing?
No, actually... Whoa, okay. Not putting the snake down there makes sense, but not putting the J down there after it? Yeah, that was a mistake.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Yep.
I think he was pretty well into that fight, too.
Yeah.
Alright, so Psyho's still going at it. I did explain to them what a line combo means, but I don't think any of them kind of came up with the fact that you can keep the too wide well at the side. Because again, both players.
That's a bit of an advanced strategy.
Yeah, like
Tetris.
that's probably what I would have done, having played a lot of Puyo Tetris, and that's kind of the intermediate strat for Tetris in that game is to make a 2 or 3 wide well on the side and build a combo.
Yeah.
Better 2 or 3 wide than 4 wide, because 4 wide is just silly.
Yeah, I don't think 4 wide's fairly viable for this game, but I have looked into it. 3 wide is pretty viable so long you can be consistent at it. Otherwise, 2 wide's perfectly fine. FFR had the world record for the longest time just doing a 2 wide until I started to convert him to 3 wide. I don't know if he's PB'd with it or not, but some guy actually just demolished both his and my time using a PS1 emulator, so I haven't touched the game since both of us have gotten our times crushed.
That was a good combo there, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Psyho's dealing with some garbage right now. Yeah, this is pretty rough for him right now because he's getting only garbage pieces. He doesn't really have any solution to them right now.
But at least the stack's fairly tidy, so... Okay, then that thing turns out.
Nice, so Psyho's gonna get his Pentris here.
Yep. That was a good call right there. Burning a line.
Good. Also putting it flat.
Yep.
Yeah, so Psyho got hit with a lot there and managed to make it all work somehow.
Pikapals, on the other hand, just filled up his meter. That's good. So there is a good chance that he might be able to get the win out of this here, because Weasel is pretty stacked high up, but his garbage output's fairly low. So it all depends on how the AI decides to do things. Looks like Psyho just also used his meter, but will he actually get a chance to use the hole that just got created? Is a big question.
That next.
Oh man! Oh no! Oh no!
So-
This might be it.
Yep.
He's still alive, but yeah.
He put it
not
in the
anymore.
wrong way, and that cost him. If he put it in the other way, where it cleared a line, he probably could have still survived somehow. Assuming the next piece wouldn't have been a giant magical block. But yeah, those are the exclamation mark garbage. You do not want exclamation mark garbage. It is not fun to deal with. It's what you want to send your opponent.
If it looks enough, it probably is.
Pikapals is done. One of the things that you also have to be aware of is your spawn column. And that happened to be the column where that eyepiece was in. If he put the other piece that he had before it to the right instead of to that left spot, the eyepiece could have came right down from spawn, it could have cleared a line, and he maybe could have lived to see another day.
Yeah, I think what I've been seeing from these two stages that we're watching is that both players are doing alright dealing with the garbage they're sent, but they're not effectively converting it into more garbage for their opponent. And that's just giving the AI opponents freedom to do whatever they want, because they're both down stacking really fast.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to Panipon games in that respect, where if you're not having to deal with lots of incoming, you're not really able to attack very strongly back.
One of the things also that kind of changes the game here, I unfortunately didn't tell him this part of the control because my mind was completely somewhere else while I was quickly trying to give them some information on the game. But you can tap up to this hard drop in this game.
I was wondering about that, just because we haven't been seeing it from anyone.
Interestingly, something
You
that
can see
did
the
not
AI do
appear
it.
in GGM1.
Yeah. But later on, Psyho's like, "Why? How are you guys?" Like, he later looked at the leaderboard and was like, "Why is everything dropping so fast?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, there's hard drop if you hit up." And he's like, "Oh, well, that's well, that's
Well, at least neither player knew about it.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, like it's been mentioned a bunch of times, hit all the buttons."
Yeah.
They figured out how to
That's
skip
great.
cutscenes even though I never told them how to, but I guess they never thought of tapping up. But again, these guys don't play newer Tetris games where that functionality is even an option, so...
Yeah. Actually, you know what really messes me up? After knowing that pressing up to hard drop is a thing? Games
What's
that
that?
have up to rotate.
I believe there's
Yeah.
only one game like that, and that would be Tetris on the Famicom.
There's been a few unofficial games that
I
do
know the Tetris for like Windows 95 had that.
Yeah, it might have been a thing of the era, because when the Famicom port came out, it was normal for up to be rotate, so it might have been normal in the versions before that as well. So somebody
that.
realized, hey, we have
There's some weird
buttons.
controls in them. Yeah. Famicom Tetris has some weird controls in them, correct? I don't remember what they are, but I remember they're rather strange by today's standards.
Yeah, the only way to comfortably play that game is with an emulator and remapping the controls. Also, Psyho's in a bit of a pickle right now.
Yeah. He doesn't have a whole lot of room to build on the right, so he's forced to put some pieces on the left. Especially with all these blocks he's being given from his opponent.
Yeah, see, so...
Getting the meter clear off would actually help, but
No, he's dead.
because it, yeah.
I'm gonna call that he's dead. There's not much he can do. When you realize that you're getting so many 2x2s in a row, wait.
Oh, he got it.
Got it!
This is what I mean by when that thing comes in place when you're high up, it's very clutch. You might actually
Look at
get the win now.
He's converting it to a win.
Wow.
There we go. The positive commentator's curse.
Amazing. The side is moving on to the last stage then?
Yep, now we're up against Pete. It's very kind of weird tune, but it's pretty good. It's kind of scary if you're a little kid, I think, with that beginning chime that happens. Like, you can expect that in, like, kind of a scary Disney movie point. On Pikapal's side, though, it looks like the opponent's just about to get a Tetris. And he has a lot of garbage heading his way. One of the things, at least, I don't know if these players have realized it or not, but if you know that you're getting a bunch of 2x2s, just start stacking them to create lines or anything like that. Because any line clears you do actually get rid of garbage, because it'll send it back. So if you have so many of those pieces, you want to just use them to create any line clear.
Oh no!
No!
Pikapals is trying to move the next piece, but accidentally slid that one before the lock.
Yep. This might be salvageable, possibly.
I have a question. Can you tap down to lock the piece in place, active piece in place in this game?
Maybe. I don't play like that, so I have no idea. Most of my gameplay involves tapping up. I sometimes do like the quicker drop if I need to get a piece in a pretty awkward position.
No, I mean when it's on the ground. Some games you can tap down; it will just lock in place, and you can move on to the next piece.
I think if it detects that you're on the ground and you hold like down, it might lock into place, but I'm not too certain about it. No, that was not the place to put that 2x2. That's gonna be a loss.
Yeah.
Saya's gonna get a free Tetris here.
Yep. It's pretty even right now. There's a lot of garbage being sent back and forth, though.
And gets his own fives.
Nice.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of back and forth at this point, especially since Pete is pretty decent, at least at this point. Obviously the toughest opponent of normal mode, or any difficulty really.
So, there's normal. Is there harder as well?
There's an expert mode, yep. If you'd like to see a decent
Oh,
mode
that came at the wrong time.
Yeah, I think he did not want that meter
put it
clear
on
to happen
top
there. Oh, this is not
See,
very nice.
what he should have done is move the 3s over to the edge with the 5. Then he could have used these 2x2s to create some clears.
Right. It would have made a too wide well to the left.
Yep.
I don't see myself seeing that in time though. So.
It's one of those,
and I tend to think I'm good at Tetris.
It's one of those strategies that you don't, until it's pointed out, you don't realize that that's how you should stack. Also, this is really tricky.
Oof. Yeah, what do you do here?
What he did is basically the best you could have done. Pikapals is still kind of getting some Swiss cheese in his stack anyways. Might be tough to come back for Pikapals. He's only sent one.
He's got
combo.
He's got a very sort of wide batch of holes right in the middle of the field, and that's very hard to downstack from.
Yep. Psyho also...
Actually, it is the either player winning their current rounds here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look at what Pikapals' opponent has.
No.
Yeah, and
that's it.
Yeah.
Manages to survive.
Saved by the bell again.
Quite literally in this game.
So they are both on the final stage now.
Actually, the bell sound the clock going up, or is it your meter thing? I can't remember.
It's the clock going up where it does the bell sound. Because it's like an alarm going off.
Oh yeah, and it's the siren for when your meter goes, isn't it?
It does that like that whoop sound. I don't know, I'm listening without audio. You guys have audio or shit anyways.
Yeah, but it's hard to concentrate on it when two other people do it.
I
got nothing for that.
I'm always bad at figuring out what all the audio cues in these arcade puzzle games mean. Like, it took me forever to realize what all the little random sounds that happen in Dr. Mario meant.
I still haven't worked out all of them.
If you do want to see a decent run of this game though, me and FFR Pro did do an expert level race of this game. It's fairly entertaining because I forfeited in the name of time because we were slightly behind schedule, and I noticed that, hey, if I forfeit, this brings us back on schedule. I just forfeited.
There was marathon luck then.
Yeah. But I think I did some overall pretty good commentary for that race itself, and FFR did a pretty decent trial of the game. Because actually what happened at first was he put in an estimate of half an hour for expert mode, and then it was a race, and then it's like, yeah, I need to bring my time down to in expert mode, and second off, you don't have the PB good enough for expert mode to be able to pull this off as well. And we're both like, yeah, alright, time to grind this game. And he just managed to get a time like that. Or it might have been 20 minutes, and then we bumped it up to half an hour. 20 minutes is now kind of like a regular time for us both. But for the marathon itself, it was kind of like we could not get it consistently enough.
Oh man, Pikapals is in a situation where he really wants that meter fill, but he's pretty far away from it.
This is, yeah, he can't get it over. He needs the right, and he doesn't have an eyepiece to kind of squeeze in there. And he blocked it off.
Well, there's one coming.
No!
And he blocked it off. Oh no!
He could have survived if he squeezed that green piece on the left, right?
Yep. You need to be really aware of what your next piece is. In any Tetris game, really. If the next piece is your most important friend, because it lets you plan ahead what you're gonna do. Psyho, on the other hand, is, he's somewhere.
Oh, that doesn't help, though. The big red block.
Yeah.
That's not so bad.
No, don't.
Now that.
If you put it on the right, you could have actually survived.
We're pretty much all evened up now.
There's definitely.
This is clearly a race, but I'm not sure exactly what the race is. Is it survive longest, get luckiest, or just actually work out what you're doing fastest?
I think it's going to be a little bit of all of that.
What's also entertaining is the fact that I think this is the first game Psyho has in the whole tournament that's been over half an hour.
It's been a pretty good. It's a pretty good goal length, I think.
Yeah, this is one of the games where I didn't even need to test it. I just knew that it would be a good goal.
I mean, that's fair.
This because, like I said, even people experienced in Tetris take around 20 to... Like, a really good Tetris players, they'll take about around half an hour to beat this game blind, so... People not so good at Tetris should... That would be their floor, 30 minutes and then above.
Do you know what Kevin DDR's time was in this?
I can't even remember if he cleared it. I think he did. It's on the YouTube, but it was probably it was probably somewhere around 20 to 30 minutes. Because what happened was, I remember for AGDQ, the plan was to submit this game into AGDQ as kind of like the TGM replacements. So him and Aperture Grills and TBCTR, I believe that's his name, submitted up-down mode, which is just regular Tetris, there's garbage that rises from the bottom, and FFR Pro submitted magical. And the reason that the three of them submitted up-down mode was because they couldn't figure out magical mode. Oh!
Oh no! Whoa!
That's something.
Oh, he is! Bloody hell!
The clutch.
That couldn't have come at a better time.
But yeah, so they couldn't figure out magical mode in a short enough time span to get the I'm sorry, man. I've only seen you handle so many times. But what happened was they couldn't figure out magical mode in time to the level that FFR Pro knew. And I wasn't going to go to AGDQ because I was still jobless at the time, so they decided to pick up the mantle and do up-down mode. Maybe now that I'm actually employed, next time I go to a GDQ, me and FFR Pro can try to do Magical Tetris Challenge Magical Mode. I think it has promise.
I'm certainly having fun watching this.
Yeah, because it's a different style of gameplay. Like, as soon as people start seeing all the crazy garbage, they're like, what is going on?
I think this might be a lot easier to commentate on if it wasn't a roast. Because like, there's just so much happening with two players trying to play this at the same time.
It takes some getting used to, but I'm so used to commentating races at this point, it's fairly easy for me to know when to comment on what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like, if this was just one player playing this game, I'd feel a lot less out of depth in terms of being able to comment on it. Because I know this game reasonably well. I've learned a few things from hearing you talk about it, but...
Ooh, and that's a death right there from pikapals. Psyho...
Yeah,
it's got
Psyho
a
is
good
like...
combo building with those 5 being offset in height.
It's gonna get another combo break into 6, but it's gonna end right there.
But
Yeah.
that's
That's
pretty good still.
It's gonna throw a lot of damage Pete's way. So why did Pete have a bunch of 1x4s in a row?
Okay, so that's one of the mechanics that I haven't had a chance to really mention yet. What happens is, whenever you get the meter to do the clear for you, the game pretty much assumes that you're going to have a stack that you can do Tetrises from, so it will start feeding you 1x4s in order for you to get that Tetris.
That was a really bad time to get the bad pieces there.
Of course, it doesn't help if you have a ton of garbage and don't get the and don't get like the Tetris eye pieces. But in any other situation, the game like tries to help you get ahead when you get that meter. So
Both of these players have been on this last stage for a while now.
yep, it makes me feel good that I'm better at a puzzle game than Psyho right now. Actually, I could pretty much crush most people in this game, beyond like FFR Pro and Poochie, and the guy who has the world record. But another fun fact about this game is actually that it was released in the arcades on the SATA 64 platform, which basically is the arcade version of the N64. Normally that arcade system came with cartridges like N64 type cartridges. It was literally an N64. But this is one of the few games, I think actually this might be the only game, where the game is built in onto the arcade board, so there's no cartridges or anything like that. So,
Makes the arcade version pretty rare.
No, the arcade version is fairly common. It was pretty popular at the time, but there's no need to get it, because for all intents and purposes,
Just get
the
the
N64
N64
game is arcade perfect. It just is missing the service menu, really. If you really wanted to, you could get a flash cart, and I believe there's a patch to play the arcade version on an N64 if you have a flash cart. But really, the regular game on the cartridge is fine, and that's fairly common. The only thing you need to get that authentic arcade experience is a arcade stick, so...
Arcade stick and a coin slot.
Yeah. Unless you play on free play mode, so... Ooh. So, I don't know if anybody's also noticed, but what happens is when you're above a certain height in your stack, your character does that little sweating dance.
Mm-hmm.
One of the nice little touches in this game.
That's when a lot of other Tetris games should start playing the music faster or a more panicked version.
Yep.
Or the siren going off, in this case in TGM.
Also, I like the idea in chat about having a tournament for this game. I would definitely be up for it. Yeah. Tournament
Yeah,
of this
that
game
would be
could
interesting
fairly
to watch.
interesting.
Oh, pikapals trying to do an eye spin there. I don't think that would work in any version
Yeah, no,
of Tetris
spins
I'm
in
aware
this
of.
game are pretty finicky. You can do them sometimes, but with the rotation rule set in the game, it's not like regular T-spins or P-spins or anything like that, so you have to be fairly careful at attempting them. Also, this is...
I know, I believe I saw Pikapals do a...
Whoa!
Yes!
Another one!
Another Tetris coming!
Wow!
And a combo, there we go. So a fairly good stack of garbage, we'll see if you can capitalize on this.
So what I was about to say was that I did see Pikapals do a spin, a twist with the T pentomino earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, T...
I've seen some like S spins and Z spins too.
Yeah, you can spin, but it's not like spinning in newer games where you can fairly consistently be able to do it. Because I don't really think kicking in this game is a thing, so if it's not going to kick into place, it'll only do it if it can like spin itself in there, so... Also, psyho is doing something. Okay, that's actually pretty good. You can get some combos out of this, even if that's 5x5. Ooh.
Yeah, that's fine for that 5. Place that
There
down
we
low.
go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gets the penalties.
And it's building a combo off it too.
So what I was about to ask is, have you or Poochie looked into exactly what pentomino gets generated?
No, but there is a table, because there is, I don't think we've ever seen it. Ooh, that's disappointing. But there is, a table of pentominoes, garbage that happens, and one of them is fairly rare. It is the cross, so it's, 3 this way,
Yeah.
3 that way. And that one is very, very, very rare. And so I think there's just a table of commonality for the pentominoes, and it will just draw depending on it, so...
It's probably rare because I think that would be the easiest one to deal with.
Yes and no. Ooh,
It's very difficult for a flat stack.
psyho dealt with those pieces very well, but he still has some issues there. Yeah, no, he's dead.
No, that's dead. So, I did look into how start thinking about how a game might generate these algorithmically, because hey, I'm a Tetris nerd, in case no one hears. And one of the methods I thought about doing it would be to take a tetromino and then add a random block to it, and that would make the cross-shaped piece very rare, and it would also make the 5-long pentomino very rare as well, which was one of the goals of what I was trying to come up with, because it feels like they're quite common in this game.
Yeah, the 5 long eyepieces are pretty common. Probably too common in all honesty. They're fairly annoying
Yeah.
to deal with.
Annoying and
Pikapals.
overpowered at the same time.
I think Pikapals has like no way to make lines here with this stack. It's gonna be really hard to downstack this one.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to be. Yep. There's only a couple of places where the piece
That's gonna
can
go off.
where it will actually be useful.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you fill your meter, you're gonna downstack it all right away.
But Pete also filled his meter there, so kind of back to where they started, except on a much higher speed. Just hitting level 4 speed here, so
I was about to say, I couldn't tell what number that was on the orange clock.
yeah, red is 4, that orange is 3, blue or green is 1, and blue or green is
Blue.
2, so
Blue is 1, green is 2, I remember that much.
Yeah.
How high did it go?
I think it caps out at level 4. Ooh, psyho with an all clear there.
Nice.
Doesn't actually do you any good beyond score.
Yeah, I thought all clear was the Puyo term.
Yeah, and it's the newer term in yeah, ooh.
Yeah, I think newer Tetris games call it perfect clear.
Yeah, and the CGM games call it Bravo.
Ooh.
Ah, no, slips it again!
No!
That's like the 3rd time! 4th time?
That's sliding on the 5s. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's really hurting Pikapals here.
How long is this goal? The goal is, oh no, this is a long goal. I mean,
They're 50 minutes
I mean,
in now,
it's kind of hard to say because
Somebody
they've been
should
on the
look up
last
the-
stage for quite a while.
somebody should look up the world record on sr.com for normal
I'll
mode
do
right
that
now. Just to put into comparison.
Magical Tetris? Yeah. Ludwig von Cooper, 9:49.
Yep. I think I have like a 12 or 13 minute time in normal mode. Something around there.
13:12 and FFR has a 10:57.
Yeah, that's what it
Yo,
was.
that's it.
Oh,
Psyho just
Cool.
finished.
Ow, GG. And I missed it because I was looking up.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, those crazy guys says in chat, is that they've been on the last stage for quite some time. If anybody managed to get a good Pete fight in the first or second try, it would have been a much shorter goal.
One thing I did notice about when you lose, so when you win a round, the height of the power meter carries over to the next match, but when you die, it resets to 4 high. So, dying does make it easier, except...
I actually don't know if that happens on the N64 version.
Interesting.
I don't remember it to be a thing. It might just be a PlayStation thing. But like I said, the reason we're not using the N64 version is for...
Because it emulates horribly.
Yeah.
That sounds like a mechanic that might have made sense for the arcade version.
Possibly. I haven't played too much of the arcade version.
I assume if you take a loss in the arcade version, you have to put in another credit, so might as well start you at a fresh slate as far as your special meter.
The only time I've played the arcade version is when I went over to Color Thief's place, and then he actually owns the arcade board, so I got to play a bit of that at his place. He also owns a lot more puzzle arcade games. It's mainly...
I know he has all the
library.
3 mainline TGM games.
Yep, all the mainline TGN games, a bunch of other games. I was gonna ping him to join this tournament, and then I realized that most games would probably not be blind for him, so...
That would have been cool to see, though.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the fact there'd probably be like a bajillion rerolls.
And then he ends up playing puzzle.
Yes!
Puzzle is the meme that will never die, and I'm so happy about it.
I'm not.
Well, yeah, because you had to play it. To be fair, I had to play that too.
It's a very personal for me.
So, pikapals, yeah, doing decent, gaining the combos.
Yep, you got access to his well in the middle again.
It looks like comboing, but also builds up your meter a lot quicker.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems that way, and it seems that getting Tetrises and Pentrises doesn't add to the meter much, if at all.
Nope, it is the quickest way to fill the meter is with singles. Which is why combo fills it so much quicker. Which is why the tester's tip was that you need to do combos, not Tetrises. Very different way of thinking, unless you're used to the newer Tetris games, where combos is pretty much king. Ooh, this is...
Oh, this is scary.
No, that's it.
Oh, that's not! You need to be one higher and then you could have got away with that. 6 minutes left, can you do it?
That's a good question. I'm sure we will find out. This is actually the first time I get to watch these matches, so... Cards was the one who proctored this match, so... Off to... wobbly start. Since I see it in chat, there would be an interview, if not for the fact that this game was pre-recorded earlier in the day. With the way that scheduling goes, there's not always a restream available when a match happens. So what we do is we do the matches, and somebody just watches them just to make sure that there's no funny business going on. Because I still stream to a server that I own. But that server keeps a local recording VOD of whatever gets streamed to it. So once the match is said and done, I just get to download the file, and then we get to stream it like we are right now.
Yeah, all three of us are blind to the outcome of this match. We haven't seen it before.
I think the only one who's liked to have seen it is Dark Aries, who downloaded these, but if he has seen anything, he's keeping quiet about it.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it goes. I actually know everything that happens. I'm the all-seeing eye for this tournament. Kind of inevitable when you're trying to run a tournament, you have to know everything that's going on. And this is interesting for pikapals right now. No, put it... The correct solution, okay, there we go, you decided to do it. The correct solution there was to put it on top of there. But then you kind of screwed up with that C piece. The C piece should have gone into the well on the left, with the hole facing the outside, so it could have been an easy line clear.
It's very difficult to see these optimal placements, though.
If you're blind, probably.
Well, even if you're good at reasonable at Tetris, I struggle finding optimal placements sometimes. And I know some of the places I end up putting places are really suboptimal, and even that's when I don't manage to completely park them on top of a hill.
Thing, like, I'm sure that everyone involved here has spent a lot of time learning intuitive reasoning about the tetraminos, but we haven't thought about these pieces much at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was actually, there's two homebrews, or Tetris kind of clones, maybe. One is called Fierce Block, and the other is called Shiromino. And with Fierce Block's made by Rain Complex, and Shiromino's made by Felicity. And Fierce Block has a mode where it is only pentaminos. So that's a pretty interesting game to play.
I've seen a video of Shiromino, I believe that has both.
Yeah, and Shiramino is more of it's more kind of like this style gameplay, where it's regular Tetris pieces, but Pentaminos get weighted into the randomizer as well, so it'll be a good mix of both. I highly recommend trying out both of them, because it's definitely a different way of thinking in comparison to normal Tetris. And the people who made those programs are pretty cool people, so...
Yeah, I know Felicity recently got 1099 in Shirasan mode without using hold.
Yeah, it's crazy. She's
Nice.
one of those people who doesn't use hold. I'm also one of those people. I try to avoid it as much as possible because it just screws you over in the older games. If you're over... The thing is, like, for example, if we bring Kevin DDR into the mix, he plays a lot of TI, so the hold ability is just natural to him. The thing is, as soon as you pull him out of his element and you throw him into NES Tetris or anything like that, or even TGM1 or 2, there's always that thing where it's like, crap, I can't actually undo this with a hold. And it takes some... you can obviously adjust back into it, but there is that adjustment period that has to happen, and I'd rather just avoid it.
Pet lag, as it's commonly known. It's actually interesting you talk about Kevin and holding, because I remember something back when he was not a Tetris god. Some criticism that some people leveled on his play was that he would use the hold button as sort of a get out of jail free card, and so it became known as Kev holding.
Huh. A fun fact right there.
Yeah, 30 seconds left. Doesn't look like pikapals is going to finish this in time.
Maybe.
Pretty close.
It's pretty close, yeah!
I feel like Pete's going to fill his meter, and by that point it's going to be too late to do anything.
Yeah, there goes that meter.
And there goes the hour.
There goes the hour.
Time's up.
But, since I know the results of the match, I do believe that he shortly wins.
Sophie, in high-level TGM play, the hold button is less get out of jail free and more plan ahead to use it, because you can hold down the hold button as the piece is spawning and it'll automatically swap out. But the way less experienced players use it is as when would use it as the piece is almost about to lock, and that's when it's sort of becoming a little bit of a crutch for some people. But I guess that's maybe how some of the more recent games are designed.
I mean, the TGM games are in large part about going fast too, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine using the hold button in that way can slow you down too much.
Yeah.
What you want to do is just like hold it onto an I piece or a J piece or something, just to quickly give you line clears. And with that, pikapals also finishes. On his timer, it's 1 minute and 19 seconds over the hour. So pretty close to solving it within the time frame. But with that, pikapals goes onto the losers bracket, and psyho continues onto the next part of the winners bracket, which, let me actually see who versus who. If the challenge
losers bracket has not picked up to see who pikapals will be playing, but psyho will be facing the winner of Zhao and Yume's battle.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah, winners bracket has been considerably faster than the losers bracket right now.
As it always is in elimination.
Yeah, there already was one losers match that's happening, but we're waiting on the other losers match because losers are still in groups of 4. So that's why I can't just stream one. Gotta wait for the other. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's stream for Magical Tetris Challenge.
Yeah,
And,
like I predicted, I lost to a falling block.
Yeah, if you guys stay tuned to the NASA channel at 10 p.m. Eastern, so an hour and a half from now, really, there is the next episode of the No Major Opinions podcast, which I myself will also be on, surprise. But it's the first episode where we have a guest, and that guest is actually our white goose. So, I feel it's going to be a pretty interesting episode, so NASA channel got some pretty good content on it today, I think.
Well, you would say that about this game. You're biased.
Hey man, any match where these two players go on over half an hour is an interesting stream.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, is there any final words from our commentators today?
My head hurts.
It's fair.
I feel like I want to go and play Tetris now.
That's also fair. I'm just gonna go make a screwdriver in preparation for the stream.
What do you need a screwdriver for?
Casual drinking.
Oh, right.
I mean, if you look at my Twitter, there's also a giant N64 video mod that I'm prepping for that involves a lot of SMD soldering. So that'll be interesting.
That's not fun soldering.
Yeah, no, but it's the bleeding edge. It's the N64 Advanced by Bordy. It's an open source video mod. You have to buy the PCB and all the components and solder it all together. So that's going to be something I'm hoping to be able to do tomorrow or during the week. So that's just one of my fun projects. So I'm going to need a drink for that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can say to that.
Alright, then thank you everybody for watching. There may or may not be a stream tomorrow. Actually, there will be a stream tomorrow. Let me double check. That's a good thing I should do. When would tomorrow's stream be?
There's a match scheduled at 1 Eastern.
Yeah, that's probably not going to get streamed. That's too early for me to stream that. On the weekends, I don't get out of bed until like 10 or 11. That's too little time. Pidge versus Green Saber. Yeah, so that's a losers. So that would not even be streamed. But
hopefully you'll be able to stream that in something else tomorrow evening.
Yeah, stick around. Probably between 7 and 8 p.m. Tomorrow there will be another NPC stream, so stick around for that. Otherwise, have yourself a good night, and hopefully you stick around for the podcast when it appears.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.